Hello, welcome to Scrap Time. My name's Christine, and in this video I'm going to show you some new products from Tonic Studios and make a project hopefully showing you some different ways to use some of these products. So scrapbook.com sent me this great little box filled with fun products from Tonic Studios. So you might be familiar with the Nuvo line. So we have everything from jewel drops, dream drops, little sequins, crystals, and then under here we have papers and that. So I'm going to use some of these products today to make a little project. And so when I open it up, we have some watercolor card. So that's what I'm going to work on. And this is one side we have the texture and the other side is smooth. So you can choose whichever side you want to work on. And I'm also going to start with all of the Dream Drops. There's 4 colors I have of the Dream Drops. And then I've got some of the glitter accents and jewel drops. So that is what we're going to start with. Now, you've probably used some of these drops before, and so typically what happens is, oh, I got cat fur going on. Okay, so typically you can go down and you can make cutest little embellishments. This one here is fairy wings, and then this one here is cloud 9. That's a white on white. And so this is typically how many people use them, is making these little embellishments. Here we have Love Potion, and I'm going to make some bigger areas. And we have Gold Luxe. And then in the jewel drops here, I have Honeysuckle. And this one dries translucent, it says. So what I was thinking about was that if these products hold their shape so much, then I could probably do a really fun textured background. So instead of having drops, I'm using it sort of just for the background of my little card project I'm making here. And I'm just going to blend these colors. But I can get a really fun texture going on. So I'm just sort of pouncing my brush. And now what I'm going to do is I had some glitter accent. So I just want a little glitter. So I'm going to put a bit on my, I'm using the Holtz Tonic Studios media mat here. And I'm just going to brush on a little within my background. I didn't want big spots of glitter, just a little bit throughout. And I can pounce again to get some texture. And so there, just like that, I was able to do a very cool background, and I'm going to try this before moving on to our next step. So it's nice and dry now, and you might be able to see that it sort of has a nice shiny texture to it, and it has like a little texture, but that nice sort of colors, they all blended together. So now we're going to do embossing around the edge. Excuse me. So I'm going to use some Versamark I have. And I'm just going to rub the edge with the ink. I'm going to work on a piece of paper, and I have, what color? It's called Crushed Mulberry Embossing Powder. So I'm going to put it around the edge. And so what I like about this technique is you can see it's not a straight line. You can see how it goes all over. And I think that's a lot more interesting than if you have just an exact straight line around your project. So I'm going to put this down on my mat. Just move, I can put this extra powder back into my container, close it up. And then I can heat it right on my mat. Now, if you're embossing, I would recommend using an embossing gun over the heat tool. As you can see, the heat tool did get the job done, but the embossing gun will have more of a direct heat, which makes embossing a lot quicker. But I happen to have my heat tool sitting here, so I just use the heat tool. It just takes a little longer. But we have our embossing complete. And what I'm going to do now is I have the Nuvo Embellishment Cream. And this is in triple berry, they call it. But it's very close to that mulberry color. And so I'm just going to take a sponge, put a bit on my sponge, and just work it in. Because that background is, it has that sort of sheen to it. It acts a little as a resist. So I can rub a bit on and then rub it off. So I just want to sort of stain it a little because I don't want that heavy like line of the embossing mousse. Or is that what it's called, sir? Embellishment mousse. Sorry, not embossing mousse. Embellishment mousse. So you can see I can put it on and then sort of rub it in with my finger. And just sort of add a little bit more dimension to the border and that. You can see the difference between where it is and where it isn't. So I'm going to just put a little here and then rub it in. Like that. Tonic Studios also offers a variety of cool papers. This like blue, this textures, it's like almost flat even though it has that really weird sort of dimensional design to it. To some cardstocks. Here's another textured glittered paper to like these mirrored papers and gold metallic papers and that. So a whole array of really interesting papers. So for my project, I'm going to use a few of them. And what I've done is I've torn them and I'm just layering them sort of onto the project. like this. And I like to work with papers that are longer than my piece so I can move them to where I want them. I'm not stuck with this certain area. So I'm going to start with this purple, and I'm using a heavy gel medium to glue it down. You might not need to use one this heavy. It was there. So I'm just going to use this one. And so what you want to do is put your glue underneath, then lay your paper down, and then you want to do another layer on top. Now you don't want to use a thin medium with this. Like a regular one might be okay, but the thin one won't hold it in place. And this dries clear, so you don't have to worry about your paper being white like that. So I'm going to put a little extra on and then lay my next piece of paper. Now I know this one I want to sort of overlap it a bit and then show the purple again. Now I'm using a brush for this. If you're using a brush, use one that isn't your favorite brush, because it is a glue, and even though I will put this in water, it still makes it sort of hard. So I've used this brush for medium before, so I was okay with it. And then I'm going to lay my final piece of paper down. You can also just use your finger. I've done that before. And so I have all my paper collage down there. So I'm just going to dry this before we do our final step. So my medium is pretty dry, and so I just wanted to show you, all I do now is I cut this off along the line there. Okay, so another product Nuvo has are these jewels, and they come in 3 different sizes in different colors. There's here I have cherry hearts. This one is crystal gems, water droplets, they're little teardrops, and golden ovals. So I'm going to use those to add a few embellishments to my little project here. And so I want to add a flower. So I'm going to put a flower here, and I like to put the stem on first so we know where that flower is going, and then the jewels will be covering the top of this a bit too. Now I find it easiest to do this with some medium. Of course you don't have to use the really thick medium, but as I said, I have it here. And I like to use medium because it just makes it easier to attach everything and move it around. So I'm using the little teardrop, so I'm going to put the teardrop on that stem, and then this little dot, and then I'm just going to put the little petals around my flower. And by using the medium, I don't have to like adhere glue to every single piece. If you find your medium is drying, you might want to just put a bit more depending where you live, how quick things dry. And it allows you to put it down and then move it into place. That's what I like about it as well. I find 7 of the teardrops make a good flower. So I'm going to put this one down and then just sort of bring them around. Some of those first pieces might already be adhering. I might actually make this 8. I have an extra one. In the past I've done 7, but today it seems like it wants to have 8. And then in the other side, I'm going to do a little butterfly. So I'm going to put my medium down. I'm going to use an oval for the body, and then I'm going to use the hearts. I'm going to use a big heart and a little heart and just sort of put them like that. And there, I got a cute little butterfly going on. And then I forgot, I'm just going to put a little petal down on my flower. And there we go. So to recap, I had used the Nuvo Drops as my background with some glitter. We had the Dream Drops and the Jewel Drops and the Glitter Drops. Then we embossed around the edge, and then I used the embellishment mousse to add a little bit more color around the edge. We used some of the different textured papers along the bottom there, and then the Nuvo Jewels to make a flower and a butterfly. So hopefully this gives you some ideas and different ways that you can use the Nuvo products that you may already own, or you may want to get some of these.